For this passage, I look at the overall structure to understand what the author is doing. I see that the first independent clause, the text before the semicolon, provides me with a general statement, and the second clause gives details to illustrate or explain this general statement. Now I want to start with the details, the second independent clause, to help me get the bigger picture. So I see that scraps of Emily Dickinson's poetry have turned up on chocolate wrappers, a torn piece of newspaper, and even a manila envelope. The author is giving us the impression that Dickinson wrote on whatever materials were at hand. From this observation, the author concludes that Dickinson's muse visited her not just when she was desk-bound. She was inspired to write not only at her desk, but also while she carried out her daily offices. Dickinson was also inspired to write in the midst of her day-to-day activities. So, to summarize in my own words, she sometimes wrote at her desk, but she also wrote whenever and wherever the mood struck her. So how does the author, how does this first sentence summarize the same idea? What it says is the image of Dickinson hunched over in an attic composing her immortal lines is blank, the word that we need to choose. We need to infer that Dickinson's desk was in the attic. So the image or idea here is her writing at her desk. But the details in the second clause tell us that this image does not tell the whole story. So looking at our choices, the image is not fictitious or false. Dickinson did sometimes write when she was desk-bound. We see that here in the text. So we can eliminate that response. Also, nothing in the text tells us about the lifespan or duration of the image or idea itself. We do not know if it was fleeting or brief. People may have and may continue to hold this idea for a long time. But we also don't know if the image was indelible, meaning long-lasting. Someone may have just proposed this image, or people may forget about it quickly. So we can eliminate those two. We're now left with incomplete and obsolete. And this is a bit of a tough call. I'm going to pick the answer that has the most support in the passage. Now, the image could very well be obsolete or outdated. Maybe people thought up the image of Dickinson as a desk-bound writer some time ago, and it has since been debunked by discoveries of chocolate wrappers and news scraps. But we do not have any information in this text about a timeline for the original idea or for the discoveries of these discarded scraps. So there's not a lot of support for obsolete. What we know with certainty from the passage is that the author believes Dickinson sometimes wrote at her desk and sometimes wrote during her daily offices. So a story or image where she only wrote at her desk is partial or incomplete, giving us our correct answer.
Along the bane of many a traveler, the Anopheles mosquito may soon cease to be an intolerable nuisance. Scientists are working to completely blank the species by preventing its eggs from ever hatching. Now, in a sentence like this, you may get hung up on certain words such as, ooh, bane. What's that mean again? And how do you pronounce this word? But why did you just get rid of it? We care about the blank. And what's the blank saying? Well, you're blanking the species. You're preventing its eggs from ever hatching. So you're getting rid of the species. You don't have to ignore everything else. Sure, mosquitoes are an intolerable nuisance. We all know that. But what's the blank? Preventing eggs, therefore getting rid of the species. Rehabilitate means to bring back. We don't rehabilitate the mosquito. Inoculate. Well, you think, oh, I've heard of mosquitoes, malaria, and inoculation. But this word has nothing to do with the blank itself. Inoculate means to give resistance to someone. So you do not get in the way. So that's out. Desiccate means to dry out. That doesn't work. And eradicate, there we go. When you eradicate something, you completely wipe out, destroy, erase. So, hey, the eggs never hatch. No more mosquitoes. Yay. So, eradicate is the answer. Disservice, that means to not be helping out something that doesn't work. You're not doing a disservice or something that's unpleasant or unjustified. Again, you're getting rid or preventing the mosquito from ever laying eggs or preventing those eggs from ever hatching. So, the answer is eradicate.
An element of blank on the part of the audience is interwoven into the multi-era saga, for two actors portraying the same character at different phases of life are distinguishable enough that the audience is able to discern differences for which the mere passing of years cannot account. Okay, so what's basically being said here is that the audience is watching something, maybe a TV show, movie, or play, and what they're seeing is that there's two different eras in this character's life. The character's younger life, their older life, and the two actors portraying that character, they look different. There are enough differences that it doesn't look like they're just older. It looks like one of the actors is actually a different person than the other actor. So, how is the audience going to feel? Because we're talking about what's happening on the part of the audience. Are they going to feel surprised? Well, maybe, maybe not. The sentence doesn't do anything to indicate that the audience is shocked or surprised or saying, oh, I wasn't expecting this and this is really something I never see. What it is saying is that the audience is able to discern. They're noticing those differences. So noticing differences doesn't guarantee you're going to be completely surprised by the differences. So surprise doesn't work. Foreboding. Well, foreboding happens. The audience will feel foreboding if they feel something bad is going to happen. But all the audience is noticing is that the two actors look enough like two different people that they maybe don't have much of a sense that that's really supposed to be one character. It feels like two actors and not one character. Well, that's not bad. That's not like something bad happening to the character or a prediction that, oh, as the character gets older, something bad will happen to them. So foreboding doesn't fit the meaning of the sentence. Let's look at disbelief. Disbelief seems like it could work because what the audience is really saying is, okay, the two actors are supposed to be the younger and older character, but the passing of years doesn't account for this. I don't believe that the actors look so different just because one of the actors is supposed to be older. I don't believe what I'm being told, that these are just the same character, younger and older. So, the audience could have a certain amount of disbelief because the actors look so different that you can't forget yourself and believe this is one character. That's a possibility. Confusion. Confusion seems good at first because you're thinking, hey, the audience is looking and they're like, oh, I thought I was supposed to be seeing one character growing older, but I feel more like I'm seeing two actors. But confusion doesn't really fit with what the sentence is saying because the audience is seeing two different actors, but they understand why. They're able to discern. They have understanding that these actors look a little too different, and that's why things seem a little bit strange. So they're not confused. They know why this is happening. So confusion doesn't really work. Predictability. So predictability on the part of the audience. Is the audience being predictable or unpredictable? Well, there's nothing saying that the makers of the play either expected the audience to not know or to not notice the difference in the actors or expected the audience to notice the difference in the actors. There's no prediction being made as to how the audience will react. So predictability is really out of the scope of what the sentence is trying to say. And that narrows it down to C, disbelief, and there you have your